welcome everyone. Welcome. How are you going today, Kylie?
Great. How are you?
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
Brilliant.
Welcome to Soul Focus, everyone. This is my guest, Kylie Beer. Kylie, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. So I'm based here in Adelaide as well. So I do a little bit of everything, to be quite honest. So it's always tricky to say what do I do and things like that. But predominantly I do energy healing work and chakra dance. So it's two of my healing modalities that I use, as well as outdoor bush therapy and hiking and stuff like that as well. So I like to do stuff inside and outdoors as well, which is good. Yeah, sorry.
Yep. No, you're right. Keep going.
No, you go.
Well, I was gonna ask you, how did you get started in spirituality? When did it all start for you?
Like a lot of people, there's usually a significant event that happens in a life that starts the trigger. And so I think, like, growing up, I didn't know it, but I was quite intuitive, and I would pick stuff up and I would just know stuff. And but I never knew how I knew, why I knew, or anything like that. And always used to have these these thoughts thinking, hang on, this doesn't feel right, blah blah blah. And so I didn't really know much about it, but it was only after when my mum passed away, her friend, she used to see her friend every week and pick her up. So after she passed away, I continued on and went and go visited her and would bring her home. And it was when I was taking her, we always used to call her Kooky May. So we were like, so I knew she used to do psychic stuff, but I never really knew what she did. Knew nothing about it. And it was when we were in the car, and I just started to ask her, and she did psychometry, and I started to get curious and ask her questions. And so one day I'm like, okay, do you want to do a reading for me? And so I gave her something, and because she wasn't quite well at the time, she took it away, and she gave me a call about a week later and started to say all this stuff. And I'm like, how do you know that? How do you know? Because I knew I intentionally didn't tell her certain things.
Yep.
And she was coming up, and that was it. That just got my interest, thinking, what, how does that work? And so then, like a lot of people, when they start to open out to this, they just suddenly run around and try to find people. And my best friend's husband was a psychic medium, is a psychic medium, and I never knew what that was. And I eventually said, can you do a reading for me? And again, like, he was coming up with so much stuff. And I mean, I was bawling my eyes out, because it was just like a massive release. Like, I was just like, how did you know this stuff? And he was passing messages from my mum, and I was just like dumbfounded. And he told me then, he goes, you're very intuitive and stuff like that. And so I just started doing the whole rounds of going to meditation groups and psychic development groups and all of that. But some of them never quite resonated with me. Or they did at the beginning, because I was just like trying to be a sponge.
Suck it all in.
But just take it all in. But then, one thing I've discovered over the years is that a lot of people have different ways, different opinions of what they think is right and what isn't. And so I felt like I did stuff with one group, and then I moved to Melbourne and I started going to some groups over there, and it felt like they were like, no, that's wrong, you got to do it. And I felt like then they were saying that, and then so I was trying to unlearn this and do that, and then I've come back here and it's different again. But since I've discovered the shamanistic side of things, that resonates with me so much more. So I do heaps of work around that. So I sort of felt like I found my place then when I did that. So but certainly it's been an interesting journey, that's for sure. And just working out what works, what doesn't, what I
Yep.
like, what I don't like. And I mean, there's plenty where they're like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And I'm like, la, la, la. No.
Yeah, it's easy done. I mean, we get bombarded so much when we first start. We don't know which way to turn.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I turn. That's why I do this show, because I turn to shows like this, interview shows, to see if I could learn, or because everyone knows everything and no one knows nothing. So
exactly. And everyone has different ways of doing things, and that's the one thing that I know I've said it so many times recently, just in conversations. It's like there's so many different modalities out there, and people are still getting the same sort of results, but they're just doing different techniques. And I'm loving seeing that there's so many different ways you can get the results. And you think, oh, that sounds a bit weird, and then you actually do it and it's like, wow, that's phenomenal. Like how they can get to a certain point and clear whatever it is. And yeah, it's fantastic.
So you were talking about shamanism before. So is that to do with your outdoor therapy, or?
No, that's what I use more in my healing side of thing. And also I make some tools like fans, the smudging fans and rattles, and what's the other thing I make? No, they're the main things. Just the fans and the rattles, and I want to start doing talking sticks as well.
What's
I just
talking
get
stick?
right into it. So it's a decorated stick. So when you're in a group, because sometimes you get the problem, people jump in and talk over or take over and stuff like that. So it's a case of whoever's got the talking stick has the right to talk, and everyone else has to stop and listen.
Okay.
There's definitely times when you need that.
I'm just thinking back in the old days, if someone else started talking and you had the stick, it was probably had a secondary use.
I've got one it's an amazing pattern that I found in the forest one time. Almost looks like a horse head, and I think that could do some damage if you want to tell someone to shut up. But it's fantastic. I'm just waiting for the inspiration to decorate it. Yeah, it's just waiting for the right time.
So tell us more about your tools, because some of the people probably aren't familiar with the tools. Do you want to talk us through them?
Yep, the smudging fans is my main thing that I make. So when I'm out walking, I collect a lot of feathers, and I remember many years ago out on a date with this guy. It's the first time first date sort of thing. We're driving along and he saw a dead bird on the side of the road and pulled over and collected it and kept on going. And I thought that was disgusting. But since I've been making the fans, I've actually I've found an owl a little while ago, and that was a bit of a challenge for me emotionally in that. But just going through the whole process of honoring the bird and thanking it and what have you. And so I've been able to make a beautiful fan with a wing. And so most of it, I've got 2 of my own. Actually, I won't be able to reach. Hang on. So this is just an example. Sorry. So this is one that I've made, and I've got a white cockatoo feather one as well. I just make them. I absolutely love doing it, get the creative side out. And so what they're used for is smudging, so using sage, or sometimes I even just use essential oil spray, and you just use it to fan it around, especially if you're smudging a person with sage, with the abalone shell loose sage. And it's quite a ritual to fan around a person to clear their aura, and the fan's really good for that. So yeah, it's beautiful. And sometimes I know some people say they use it for just clearing the energy as well, without any sage or anything like that. It's just the intention behind it.
The sage does help.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, yeah.
It does. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Well, when you've got something there and you know there's something there and you've tried it without and then you've tried it with,
Yeah.
you went, this stuff works.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, yeah, you can just feel the lightness sometimes
Yep.
when you get saged. Yeah, I had it last night done to me, and it's just like, oh, I feel so much better now because it just lightens everything up. And
it's funny how you don't even notice until you've been lightened off, until you've cleared
yeah,
something off, and you're like, wait a second, I feel
yeah,
miles lighter.
yeah, yeah. And the drums are great for that too.
Yep.
You know, I use them a lot in my healing, especially at the beginning, to just break up the energy around the person, around their aura. And also you can use it in so many different ways. Again, it's always the intention, but I generally go around a person first with the drum just to sense for any blockages or anything like that, because you can hear the tone change slightly. So if you're tuned into it and you drum around someone, you can tend to hear where the blocks are. And then when you hear that, then you can just keep drumming it for a while, and it breaks up that energy. And then when you hear it clear up, then you can keep on drumming. So that's, I think, just about every single person that comes to a healing gets drummed first.
Just drums.
Yeah.
Drumming into them.
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah, it's just a case of, just going through and breaking up that energy. And it just makes it so much easier than when you go in to do the healing, that some of those blocks are already cleared.
Okay.
Yeah, and sometimes I use a rattle as well, because that's just a different tone. Just the same way as, some people use chimes and bowls and stuff like that as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you find one works better than the other, or just work intuitively with them?
Yeah, I just work intuitively. I mean, I do prefer the drum the most, but I have started to use chimes a lot more too. Just when they're ringing, you know that things are good. When they're really nice and crisp. And so I've only got recently got a set of chimes, so started to use them too. But drums always first up.
So can you talk us through some of your modalities?
Mainly so in regards to healing is shaman. So I've done shamanism practitioner through training with Matthew Greenwood, and then a Reiki practitioner as well. So I mainly use those two, but one thing that I'd been told for years, which put me on the healing path actually, was I kept getting told, you're a natural healer, you're a natural healer, you're a natural healer, you should be doing healing. So, I used to think, what does that mean? I'm a healer.
Yeah.
So that's why I started doing the training, just to give me those foundations on what to do, at least to get me started. Whereas now it's just all intuitive, and just go with what energy is, and what guides come in. And, a lot of the guides come in and do a lot of the work too. And just sort of work that way now. But it was a good foundation to at least get started when I first got going. And the other modality that I do, which I love, is chakra dance. So that's very different to doing hands-on healing. So that healing's done. It's a mixture of different things, but it's a movement therapy. So the music is composed to resonate with each chakra. So what people find is if they've got a block in a particular chakra, the music they really struggle with. And they'll be like, oh, that feels uncomfortable, or they're distracted and too busy thinking about, their to-do list and stuff like that. And that usually gives them a clear sign, okay, I've got a block, just work through it. And the music actually helps unblock the blocks. So it works in two ways. So at least it identifies, but it also clears at the same time. And so people So, and what I do is I take people essentially on a guided journey. So I talk them through each chakra. If we're doing all 7, I'll sort of say, we're in the base chakra and it's located at the base of your spine. Imagine that you're near a campfire and stuff like that. So I give some visuals to get people started. And but then that's pretty well as much as I go. And then it's up, they just pretty well take over because their eyes are shut. So it's like an internal journey. So a lot of it's just what's going on inside, and the dancing's more just to get the energy flowing and get the energy moving, but it's not necessary. So, I mean, you could lie down and still do it. I've certainly had a few people having a bit of a snooze in the corner, but the music is still doing the work. Like while they're doing that, it's just it's better. I prefer and think it's better if you're active in the whole process. Like with any healing, if you're an active participant, it's going to have a better impact. And
I guess how well, that's it. I mean, I'm great at sleep meditation. And people go, oh, you're getting deep healing. No, you just fell asleep. Come on.
Yeah. I know. I sit there and people say, I went really deep. And I said, yeah, I could hear you snoring. And it's like, that's, it's like, no. I mean, they're getting relaxed and, they'll be soaking in the energy of what's going on.
Yeah.
I still think it's better to be active and know what's going on, and you can
do you pick up, like, depending on the way people move, is there certain things that you pick up to see if there's blockages, or do they do certain things?
People one thing, especially with the lower chakras, backache is huge. Right, so if they've got a block in the lower chakras, they've generally got a backache. So sometimes I'm seeing people almost bent over double because they've got a backache, and that's usually, and they're struggling a bit because it's unblocking and highlighting it to them. So, but I can't always tell because there's plenty of times when I think, oh, they're just standing there and doesn't look like they're getting much out of it, but then at the end they're like, oh my god, I was seeing this and this and this. So they're pretty still. But sometimes I can see and feel when someone's just not getting into it and they're really blocked. But most people that I get generally get into it, and because I always say to them, just acknowledge it, that you've got a block. Don't get caught in the story of it. Don't get caught in the block. Just release it and let it go, and just observe, and just, and people tend to do that, and they're like, okay, got a block. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, so it's mainly for blockages or alignments or just all of the above?
It's a whole range of things. So that's just one component that it can do. Deep healing, releasing trauma as well. I've had instances where, and even the other night, so Friday night I ran sacral chakra, so just on sacral, and I think it was about 2/3 of the way through, I was looking around and there was about 5 or 6 of the participants were on the ground, almost curled up, and I started to think, oh, what's going on? But then I realized, no, they're all going through a process, and we're just clearing out a lot of our old stuff, because the sacral, that's our emotional center. That's where a lot of trauma gets stored. So that's probably the chakra out of all of them that gets triggered the most. So I've seen people. I remember another participant a couple of years back. I was thinking, oh, is she okay? Because she was on her back, and she had 2 really traumatic births. And what she was doing was actually releasing a lot of that pain and trauma. So she was ecstatic at the end of it, because it just released so much stuff she didn't even know she was carrying. And that's the thing, a lot of people don't realize they're carrying a lot of this stuff until they're pushed to heal it. And especially at the moment with the energies that we're getting, we are being pushed to do a lot of this healing. And so that just stuff like that is phenomenal what it can do, and especially around that area. And then so when I actually did my so as a participant, when I first started doing chakra dance, in the 9-week journey, just what I went through, because you're clearing the blocks as you're going along, and just so you get to your solar plexus and you start feeling, because that's all about your inner power and standing up for yourself. So you do that, and then you go to your heart chakra and open up your heart, and then you can, just feel good that way. And then you get to your throat, and then you start to express what you really, really think. And so when we did the throat chakra, I quit my job that week. That was when, because I knew that it was time for me to start focusing on the healing side of things and what have you. So I just like, right, I've had enough. It's been something I was wanting to do for a long time, but because I just sort of felt like, time is right and I can actually get it out, because I think there was plenty of times I wanted to say it, but I wouldn't. I did that, and a few other people had really big life changes that week, because they finally got to say what they wanted to really say. And so it can be pretty powerful, and it can make a lot of changes. So
especially for the people on the other end of that.
exactly. So it's almost like, you almost need a warning sometimes. And it's all for the better. And finally got to do what I'm now doing. I wouldn't have done it, I don't think, if I hadn't done the class.
So we got Julian Johnson's asking, how long have you been doing this for?
The chakra dance is probably coming up to nearly 2 years now, or a year and a half. Probably 2 years now I'm coming up to. And the healing has been a bit of a stop-start. So I've been doing that on and off for the last year or two. I haven't... I've sort of felt like a bit of a Cinderella trying to find the right space to practice out of. And I'm actually about to start down at Carpe Diem with Romy down at Port Adelaide. So she's got an upstairs healing haven. So I'm about to start down there. And that will be great. So it's a nice... I'll be there 2 days a week, so I'll be able to focus more on the healing side, which I've let drop a little while, because I was sort of in between places and trying to find the right venue where I felt comfortable doing healings in. So I've definitely found the right space for that. So I'm looking forward to diving right into it. So down in Port Adelaide.
So how often do you do chakra dancing?
So I run a class every Tuesday fortnight. Well, I'm running it every week at the moment. It's just on one fortnight I'm going through a 9-week program with a group of people. So that's a closed group. So I'm running that, and then on the alternate Tuesdays, it's like a drop-in sort of class for people to come and try, and that's in Mawson Lakes at the Heart Centre Healing Academy with Paula, who you spoke to last week or the week before. So I run it out of there on a Tuesday night, and then each month I am running it down at Port Adelaide at the Doc Studios, and that's more of so I'm focusing on a particular chakra, so that's why I did the sacral the other night, and then the next one will be the solar plexus. And that's a 2-hour class, so it's a lot more in depth, and we get a lot more into it, whereas the classes at Paula's is just more like a shorter overview, just to give people an idea of what it's like. And it's so they're the ones that I'm running, and I'm looking at running some up in the hills because
Yep.
I'm finding I'm getting a lot of people from the hills that are interested. And yeah, so, and I'm going to be house sitting up there next month for a few months. So while I'm up there, I thought I'll spend some time in the hills and do chakra dance up there too. So I'm just looking for a venue for that. Thinking Mount Barker.
There's plenty of spirit. There's always people in Mount Barker.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly, even like the people I meet, I'm surprised every second person's like Mount Barker. Like, well, he's living in Adelaide anymore. You're all in Mount Barker.
They're running to the hills.
Yeah, that's running to the hills. It's just something about the city, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm up in the hills, quite a few days a week. So I certainly can feel the difference when you get away from just the energy of the city. And it's good to get up away in the trees and, go for walks and just connect with nature.
It can be so gradual, but I remember a time that I went and I was sitting down the beach because I live near the beach, and when I meditated for about an hour, and then because I was in the right zone, as I walked up closer to the road, I could feel the electromagnetic field, and I sort of did that. Wait a sec, and then walk back. Okay, it feels clear. And just in day-to-day life, we don't realize how bombarded we're getting with all the frequencies in the city.
Definitely.
So used to it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much, and it's coming at all different angles. Plus, when you're an empath, you pick up on all the energy of the people too. And when you're surrounded by a lot of people who, especially at the moment, who are in a lot of fear, it gets quite overwhelming. So it's always good to sometimes just disconnect, go up.
I make a pouch for that.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So outdoors, you do outdoor therapy. Tell us about that. That sounds really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I do a variety. So at the moment, I'm doing walk leads. So that's not too much in the therapy side of things, but taking groups of people out for walks in and around various places. So Moriel to Chambers Gully, like just around Adelaide. And I'm looking at doing walks in Mount Crawford Forest and doing a meditation in that as well. So we'll walk a certain way and then do a meditation in the forest and then do a short walk back, sort of thing. So that's in the pipeline when the weather gets a bit warmer. But connecting with Mount Crawford, that's another thing that I never really realized when I was young. So I went there for a school camp and stuff like that. But when I got my license, I always used to drive up there and through there, and I never knew why. And now that I've been going up there and connecting with the energies up there, it's very powerful energies up in the forest, all the crystal, quartz crystal up there, and just trees and just, all the magical energies up there. And I think I didn't realize I was just driving by to get a bit of an energy top up. It's just all these things you do that you don't know why you're doing it, but you do. But it's good now to actually have some context as to why.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard people say that there's amazing places in South Australia, some quartz places that you have to walk to that. But yeah, in the Americans, they're right into that. They're like, there's crystal, hills with the crystals, and the Indians and the shamans are right into that.
And I mean, Adelaide, we're on like massive beds of quartz crystal, like and a lot of it's crushed and put into our roads. So we're actually, and when I heard that, I'm like, wow, that's pretty amazing. Like, so we're pretty well driving in a lot of crystalline energy, and it's just throughout the whole town, so and state. So that's pretty cool, and you can feel the difference in some of the areas where there is a lot of quartz versus not. Because that's what I feel, that's what I get drawn to, is the quartz and the crystal energy. So
you think they would hold a lighter energy, or?
I think so. Yeah, they do.
Because I've wondered that. I've wondered that at some of the places I've driven to, I used to get sort of grumpy
Oh,
at certain lights, and I'm just wondering, is that the residue? I was wondering if that was just residue from people like late for work every day in that spot.
Yeah, it can be. It can be. I mean, that's the thing. Like energy, if something's happened at that point as well, and this happens in houses as well. Like people don't realize, like, if something's happened in a house and then they move in and the energy's still there, and that can actually create behaviors in people who are living there, and they don't realize that it's just the energy. It's making them do things, and it's the same on the road. I remember someone saying a story. I think it was down south towards McLaren Vale, I think it was, and she suddenly felt this urge that she just wanted to just veer off the road, and she's like, "Where did that come from?" And then she heard something had happened a few days later. Someone had actually done that, and so there was an energy there that was affecting people when they're driving through, and it just comes down to what headspace or where you're at, as if that energy would affect you or not. Whereas she's like, hang on, that's not me. But so she didn't get affected, but other people, if depending where they're at energetically, or if they've maybe been drinking or something like that, and the energy can get in and have an impact.
It's almost like, you're going along and you just have like a weird thought come in your head, and you say to yourself, but you sort of feel it. You do feel it. I mean, I've got to pay more attention to stuff like that, because I've had like weird thoughts come into my head, and you're like, that's stupid. Like, where did that come from? But you don't realize that it's, it can be imprinted around us.
Yeah. And especially at the moment, because our frequencies are rising, a lot of those negative energies are running out of people to latch onto, so they're getting more and more desperate to latch on to people as well. So it's a case of, that's why it's important to keep your energy clean and vibration up, to protect yourself from a lot of that stuff, because they're getting desperate.
Why do you think they're getting desperate?
Because they know their time's nearly up.
Yep.
Because the vibration of Earth is just rising. I mean, we're being hit with so many energies lately. I don't know how you've been the last few weeks with the energies coming in, but there's definitely a lot of people I've spoken to are really feeling it, and that's to raise our vibration, and the Earth's vibration's rising too. So anything that's of a lower vibration is getting shaken up. And that's why a lot of stuff's coming up to the surface for people too, because the vibration's bringing it up. And it's got to be cleared. And so the lower vibrations is because people are raising their vibration. So the lower vibrations got to find somewhere else to go, another host, so to speak. Yeah.
So what? I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, the world's going pretty heavy at the moment.
Bit of a rabbit warren, that one.
Oh yeah, where do you stop? Where do you start? That's it. Are we allowed to mention the government? I haven't been banned yet. I'm not planning on getting banned today.
It's just finding not using particular words. That's what I understand. But
I like VW, Volkswagen. Yeah. So with the outdoor therapy, what else do you do when you're out there?
So I mean, that's so up until, so what I also sometimes do is volunteer with Operation Flinders, and that's taking teenagers out to the Flinders and working with them we're out in the bush for a week, walking with them, and they're quite challenged because they're away from technology, home, and all the rest of it, and helping them navigate some of their challenges. So that's something I've been involved with for a few years now, and would like to do that with adults as well, because just to help people navigate, and nature does a lot of the work for you. So I mean, just even being out in nature, people feel so much better already. So that's going to be part of the wellness stuff that I'm looking at doing with the meditations, but other walks as well, just to connect in with nature. And it's so healing being amongst it. And a lot of people don't. What I find, especially with women, they're not comfortable going out walking by themselves, just either because they're worried that something will happen, they'll get attacked, or they'll get lost. So they like having someone there to guide them. So I do that. And, just the conversations you have out in the walk, out in the trails, and especially when you get a group together. And, the universe usually puts people who have similar situations or stories, and, and they start chatting when they're walking, and that could be quite therapeutic. And on top of nature, doing some of the work there too. It's quite rewarding stuff to do.
So you're getting a good response from the teenagers?
It's nothing beats doing the follow-up thing, and then the parents coming up and saying, "What did you do?" They actually come and talk to me now. I've had that a few times. They're like, "Wow," usually they come home from school straight in their bedroom on the computer or whatever, and they were in shock when they come home and actually sat down and say, "How was your day?" and have dinner with them. So it can have quite an impact on that. So, and sometimes when you hear the kids saying, I miss home, and they never thought they would, and stuff like that, or just have those aha moments. I remember one girl just, she was not embracing the challenge, so to speak, for the good part of the week. And she was looking at one of the other girls, and she goes, "She's happy all the time." I'm like, why is she always happy? Like, we're out here. Why would you be happy out here? And the girl said, I'm happy to be here. And, I just try to look at things in a positive way. And this girl actually tried it. And that night, so every night you sit around the fire and have a chat. And they usually say, what's the highlight of the day? What's the low light? And, what they liked and what they didn't like, sort of thing. And she actually said some really positive things, because she decided that day she was going to look at it in a more positive light. And she had a great day. And it was no different to the other days. It's just because she changed her mindset on how she was going to look at the day. And, that was just, it's like, hallelujah. when people say that, it's like, this is why I do this stuff. Just these little insights. It's like, it's all perspective. I mean, that's in our day-to-day life, it all comes down to how you look at things. I know personally, like, I always used to get called, the glass half full sort of person, always negative, always there. And I started to switch that around. And then I think I started to get called Pollyanna, that I was thinking everything was going to be rosy. And I was like, okay, got to get some balance. But, but things got so much better when I actually changed my mindset and how I looked at things. And just, and just appreciate just the little things, like stopping to, literally stop and smell the roses. I remember doing that quite a lot. It's like, no, I'm actually going to stop and sniff it and enjoy the scent. And it just lightens your day. And it's just these little things.
These little things when you come into the moment are just amazing.
Yeah,
but it just shows you the power of the mind. Is people can be looking externally for all the things to change in their spiritual walk, when all it can be is you just making that choice to shift your perception. And it just opens right up.
It certainly does. And now it gets a bit frustrating when you're talking to people saying, can't you see? But yeah, it certainly
Oh
has.
yes. Oh yes, indeed. That's when you want one of my pouches on that block the energies. Yeah, put a pouch on.
That's right. That's right. And it's like, you know, you hear that, and it's like just and just the comments. They'll be like, "Oh, all the clouds are coming in." It's like, but the sun's shining now. Don't focus on the one cloud over there. It's blue sky, the sun's shining, and it's just, it's like, oh my god. But you know, I get it because I used to be like that a lot. So, you know, it takes a bit of work, and I know it's still a work in progress for me. I mean, you certainly still have your moments, and you know, and some of it's old habits that you don't even realize that you've adopted through family and stuff like that. And you know, you just sort of say something and it's like, oh god, I'm starting to sound like but it's just being aware,
and finding those patterns. And it's so funny because we don't realize how many of those patterns that we've carried, because I mean, how long we've been on this earth, our whole lifetimes, and you get to a stage and you don't even realize you're doing it. But as you're saying, just that shift, that choice. People think like happiness is going to be when they've got all this stuff. Oh, when I've got more money and I'm over here, and it's like, no, it's all here in front of you already. Just got to see it.
Exactly. And I mean, you know, I've you know, worked in corporate worlds, and you know, they had plenty of money. They had plenty of money, and you know, when I look back now, I mean, at the time I didn't really, but I look back now, and a lot of them weren't happy. They had loads of money, and you know, the people that I'm around now, you know, that's the thing with the spiritual world. Like, they're not everyone's earning a lot of money, but they're so much happier because they're doing what they love. And yeah, they're a lot more happier, grounded, and appreciate more. And yeah, it's certainly a big difference when you go from one side to the other.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I finished up my slave job last year, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge thing at the time. Like, you know, it's a massive risk and a gamble, but you know, I've learned if you've got the faith and trust that it's going to work, and it's what you're meant to be doing, and you're happy doing that, and you've got that passion, it's going to happen. It all comes down to your energy, and you know, and this is what's been my learning over the last, you know, year or so, you know, because it's easy to fall into the mindset of, oh my God, I think I have to go back and get a real job, and you know, I don't want to, but I'm not getting enough clients and stuff like that.
I'm like, yeah, the real job.
But you get in that thing, but then, you know, again, it's energy, and change your mindset and what you're putting out there, and having trust that it's going to work, and it can change straight away. Like, I've certainly seen that happen where, you know, start stress and it's like, no, stop thinking that. And usually I sometimes go for a walk or whatever, clear your mind, and you suddenly, oh, hang on, what if I try this? Or people, cool, because you're in a better energy. So it's a big learning curve, the whole energy thing, what you put out. But it's yeah, I'm still fascinated by it all, really.
Well, someone was telling me, helping me out, and always giving gratitude, giving gratitude and giving thanks. And they said, now start giving thanks to all the money that's going out to bills that you have to give away and part with. Start giving thanks for giving it away. And I'm like, okay, but hey, it helps you so much.
Yeah, I think Louise Hay even says that, like, when she used to write checks out, she'd be, you know, it's the gratitude that you've got the money in the first place to be able to pay the bills. And yeah, she would always, I remember reading that one time, you know, just having that love and writing. I mean, this is America with writing checks, but you know, just having that love that I'm grateful that I can pay for this. And Yeah.
Yeah, because we have that, like, we want it coming in, not
Yeah.
going out. But when you just become thankful for the whole process, and then I guess you're not in lack of the whole process.
Mm.
It's not that
Yeah.
you're trying to attract more bills.
No,
They'll come
no.
They'll come anyway. Don't worry about them. They're always there.
Exactly. Exactly. But, you know, it's, but instead of having that, "Oh, I bet I'm gonna have another bill sitting in the letterbox," sort of thing, and you're just putting that out there that you're gonna have a bill there, you know? It's,
Has my Amazon
yeah.
book come? I've been waiting for it. Ah, damn.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
you got any? What new projects you got coming up at the moment?
So the new ones are mainly around the walking side of things. I just need
Yep.
to work out when and where and how. Well, I already know the how. It's just the deciding when I want to start doing that. I'm thinking that will be more September, I think, just to get that lead time up in Mount Crawford and
Yep.
yeah, doing the meditations up there. The chakra dance stuff is still chugging along in Mawson Lakes and Port Adelaide, and then looking at Mount Barker area. And I sometimes do it down at Christie's. I need to organise that as well, just to cover the north and the south.
Yep.
And then also eventually when we get there is an online version for chakra dance as well, which I'm pretty excited about. So that will be able to offer it online instead of in person. So I've gone through the process myself, and it's good to be able to do it at home in your own time and stuff like that, and it's just as powerful. So that offering will be a little bit further down the track this year. There's been a few delays with chakra dance getting that to us, so but I'm pretty excited about doing that one. But yeah, that's that would be a big one.
I guess some people, self-conscious people, would be like, "Yeah, I want to do it at my home. I don't."
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean that's usually, especially the first class, people just find it a bit weird because I mean, even though their eyes shut, they're still a bit self-conscious that people are watching, but no one, the only person that's watching is usually me, and half the time I'm not watching. All I'm doing is just making sure people don't crash into each other. But and just for support. But once they get past that, then they go deep and really get into it. Yeah.
So you do healing. So what do you sort of offer people? Say if someone, what would someone be looking to deal with if they came to you?
Yep. So that, as I said, I'm just starting down at Carpe Diem, so that will be, I suppose, from next week, I think. And so I tend to do a mixture of things. So I always have oils going, whatever I feel drawn to diffuse at the time to help that person. I start with the drumming as well, and a lot of it's hands-on healing, and I do what we call polarity work, which is clearing meridian lines, because that's where a lot of the trauma gets blocked in your meridians. So I do that. So the sessions are usually about an hour, and it's just doing. So I usually go through and do the Reiki hands-on, or at least hands-on, not necessarily always Reiki poses, but I go through the chakras and what have you, and then I do the polarity stuff after, because I've already cleared the energy. It makes it a bit easier, and the meridians clear up a lot quicker. So that's pretty well most of what my healings are about. I don't do messages as yet. I sometimes, if I pick up if there's a block or something like that, and what that could be meaning, but I'm not doing readings as yet, but that will come. I just need the confidence for that a little bit more, so I'm still practicing doing readings at this stage.
So how would people go about getting hold of you, connecting with you?
Yeah. There's, I mean, my Facebook page is Rebel Heart Journeys. And also my website is rebelheartjourneys.com. My mobile number is 049781. So
What?
going to no?
Yeah, don't put it on. Yeah.
No? Okay.
No.
So mainly through my my website and Facebook are the two places where I'm, especially Facebook, that's where I'm more active. I do have Instagram as well, but Facebook seems to be where I'm at more than anything. So they're the two places.
If they can't get hold of the website, they should get a piece of paper and tie it to a pigeon. Because, like, you know, this day and age, it's like, all the links are in the show notes. So if you want to get hold of Kylie, just go into the show notes of this show, and I've got your website and your Facebook page. So Kylie,
thank you, Margaret. Sorry, I just saw that she's saying she's just like my Facebook page. So thank you.
So Kylie, if you had to go back to when you first started becoming awakened, what advice would you tell your new spiritual self?
Be more discerning as to who you learn from.
Oh,
I mean, that's a big one. Like I tried a few different teachers, and I probably spent a little bit longer than I should have in some groups, and in some ways they kind of made me a bit disillusioned. And I feel like I've been having to do a lot of unlearning to relearn, and because I realized some groups, and this was some of them in Victoria, very ego driven. And I wasn't, again, at that point when you're kind of green, you don't really know much about ego and stuff like that. And when you look back, and it's like, whoa, they were nasty. Like, they were very judging of other readers, and they would actually go sit in the crowd and like in groups while they're doing demonstrations and just be picking at everything they're doing, that, oh, they shouldn't be doing this, they shouldn't be doing that. And, you know, at the time, like, I didn't really know much different, but now it's like, well, that's uncool. That's not cool at all to do that. So so that's probably my biggest thing, is be more discerning with who you pick as your teacher, because there's a lot of teachers out there, but you need to find the one that resonates with you. Whereas I was just going with anyone that I could find, whereas now it's a case of just find the person that you want. So I've found my teacher, and I'm pretty happy with that. So
well, it's so hard, because at that level it's hard to know, isn't it? You just
when you knew.
Well, thank you for coming on the show. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, I'm just sort of quickly reading some of the comments. Someone's shared my website. Excellent, thank you. Thank you, Steffi. I think that's not everything that's been covered, I think, but I'm definitely looking forward to working out of Carpe Diem. Just the energy in that place is amazing, because you've got all the crystals downstairs. So when I rocked up the other week to do a healing on someone, I took my little bag and it had all my crystals in it, and I got there and there was like this massive rose quartz chunk under the table. I'm like, I don't think I need my little teeny rose quartz. I think we've got it covered.
Put that over there.
It's just like my crystals suddenly felt very small. It's just because they just had chunks of the stuff around. It's like, okay, right, cool.
I love going there to buy incense, because it's a great shop.
It's great, and it's got a really nice vibe up there. So
well, thank you for coming on the show. It's lovely to hear from you. And people, if you want to get in contact with Kylie, just hit her up. If you've got any questions, just reach out to her, and I'm sure you'll be happy to answer them.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, Kylie. It's been lovely to have you on the show and have you chat.
Nice. Thanks, Brooke.
And have a good night. And we'll see you around Adelaide.
Yes, we'll do.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Okay.
Brooke.
See you, people.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.